Thank you, Dr. Shekhar Mande, for your thoughts. With this, now let me introduce our next speaker, Professor Prabhat Ranjan, who is currently the Vice Chancellor at DYPIU International University based in Pune. And all of you may be very happy to know that he was a former Executive Director of the TIFAC, Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Council of Government of India. And, he was educated in Gurukul style of Netrahat School, IIT Kharagpur. Professor Prabhat Ranjan, it was very, very, felt very humbled to know this, that you did your schooling in Gurukul style of schools. He has his PhD from University of California, Berkeley, and for which he did his research in Lawrence Berkeley Lab. All of us know as a very prestigious lab. He worked for nearly 20 plus years, making his important contributions to nuclear fusion as a scientist in India and USA. And so 2013 to 18, he was heading this think tank, technology think tank in India called TIFAC in Delhi as executive director. And he was, I was told yesterday, I was telling him by a chairman of our organization, RGSTC, Maharashtra government, Dr. Anil Kakotkar, that he was one of the major pillars who developed that report on Vision 2035 during his tenure, which was released by Honorable Prime Minister then in 2016. Dr. Prabhat Ranjan, thanks for accepting this invitation, and 15 minutes are yours. Please take us, what we are likely to see.
I joined in 2013 and I found that there were committees set up by TIFAC. There were 12 sectors that were decided to work in different sectors. And this was on similar pattern that was followed for Technology Vision 2020. But what I found was that the committees that were formed, most of them could not think beyond next few years. And 25 years was too much for them to understand. In fact, I remember Dr. Ashok Junjunwala, he was head of the ICT group, chairman of the ICT committee. He said that beyond 3 years, I can't say much. So then what we had to do was to actually prepare internal groups, do internal training, connect to global agencies. And all of this effort led to complete change in the way we prepared this document. So finally, this document was released by Prime Minister at Indian Science Congress on January 3, 2016. He also wrote the foreword to this document and actually asked all the ministries and government departments to follow the document. And Niti Aayog was asked to coordinate all this effort. Before I moved out of TIFAC in January 2018, actually I gave a talk to Niti Aayog, to all the secretaries of Government of India who were invited to that event. And many things that are happening in the country are happening because of this document. I'd like to illustrate a few as we go along. But one of the things that I was asked to me was that what was the methodology to prepare this document? So some interesting points I'd like to follow. One was that, as you can see on the slide, the number of things that are done normally for such things like brainstorming, wider consultancies, consultation, idea collection, student interaction meetings, questionnaires and surveys, Delphi, literature review, scenario building, expert panels, and then collecting for different. So these are different processes that were followed. Scenario building was something that TIFAC was not very familiar, so we did internal training. We learned all of these things, and all of this led to complete change in the way document was being prepared. And the Technology Vision 2035 document was not planned this way, but finally out of this, we have a vision document, which is the main vision document the Prime Minister released, and 12 roadmaps in different sectors to achieve that vision. And interesting point I'd like to make is that initially we call all the top scientists, Bhatnagar awardees like Dr. Mande and others who have been awarded, or Padma Shri awardees and so on. And we asked them to talk about what they think is going to be in the future. But what we found is most of them only talked about their area and they could not think of the country as a whole. That we had to connect to young students, school students, college students, connect to them, ask them what they want India to be. So Technology Vision 2035 document is actually a collection of aspirations, desires of young mind of today. And we wanted to make sure that country as country, we deliver what their desires are there. So this actually captures their aspirations and desires. I have written a blog, my blog site is ranjan.in, which talks about making and launching of technology within 2025, where I've given all the background of this. Those of you interested can actually go through that. When we're preparing this document, one of the questions that we asked ourselves, that what should, and probably Dr. Mande is very well aware of this, that a lot of work that we do in the country remains within the confines of labs and the research papers and so on. It does not see the light of the day. So this is very important for the country to make sure that what we do in the lab finally results in improvement of quality of life of citizens. The third one is those areas which we felt needs targeted development. Like, as we are aware that India's moon mission was successful. India was the first country in the world to go to Mars, similarly atomic energy and so on, and many other areas where we targeted, we knew exactly what problem we wanted to address, and we actually achieved that vision. So we identified a number of technology in this segment. There were 60 of these actually, and out of that 20 Niti Aayog took to carry it forward. The last column was those technologies which we thought were in imagination, which we thought may take 20, may take 30 years. We identified those, and we are not sure that they will happen or not happen, but we put them there. Like in this particular table, you are seeing there's an artificial photosynthesis. There's another one which is talking about homeostatic diamond trees or artificial trees. For example, artificial trees, it is visualized that it can capture carbon 1,000 times more efficiently than that of natural trees. So we were involved with climate change commitments of India. We, as a TIFAC team, we went to COP21, COP22, COP23. And we actually brought this technology into our technology requirements to meet the climate change commitments. So I'm going to focus on technology and imagination and give you some examples. As I mentioned, that to achieve this vision, we prepared roadmaps in different sectors. And out of this 12, 6 were released during my tenure. But I had put education right on the top. Education I put right on the top. And as it is interesting that it was released in Pune on 75th birthday of Dr. Anil Kakudkar. On 10th and 11th November, we had an event. 11th November, his birthday, so we released this document on education sector. And I had put it there right at the top because I felt that education is key to success of the country. And we must make sure that we achieve that. So I will skip this now because time is short. Dr. Shah initially talked about Hyperloop technology. So actually, we had mentioned this in document, and that time it was just coming out. Dr. Nitin Gadkari or Mr. Nitin Gadkari took this forward, invited us for discussion, and he invited Elon Musk to come. So Hyperloop is a technology that you can move at the speed of 1,200 kilometers per hour, at faster than that of the speed of plane, civilian plane, which moves at 800 to 900 kilometers per hour. For example, Delhi to Mumbai takes about 2 hours. We can reach in 80 minutes. Or Navi to Pune, as Dr. Shah mentioned, could be achievable in 20 to 25 minutes. Amravati in about 42 kilometers to 6 minutes. So suddenly, because of what we put there, it started to happen. India became one of the countries which is in the forefront of this, along with other countries. So I mentioned about Navi Mumbai and Pune, as well as Vijayawada to Amravati. There's another concept of hyper chariot that moves at 4,000 miles per hour, which will, the inventor of this is in Los Angeles. He said that if I want to see Agra Taj Mahal, I should be able to go in 2 hours from Los Angeles to Agra, see it and come back in the evening in 2 hours. This is again, it's going to take a little time, but this is again another technology in imagination. Augmented reality, virtuality is going to play a very important role in the education sector. And actually, this is all happening today. In fact, today, just now I was discussing, we have been using some of these in my university along with holography and so on to improve learning process. You can see a student learning atomic structure using a HoloLens. Similarly, artificial intelligence is starting to play a very important role. And this is going to provide a customized learning to students. Multi-layer vertical farming, which can have crop 40 to 300 times more crop in the same area without using sunlight, use artificial light, 90% less water, and actually no pesticide to be used. And actually, this is also called urban farming. That means you can harvest the crop and within 2 hours, it can be in the home of the user. Artificial leaf, for example, that can turn sunlight and carbon dioxide into fuel more efficiently. And similarly, I talked about artificial trees. Meat without animal, I call it sometime, it's called green meat. I call it meat 2.0. where through cellular agriculture, actually you can grow meat in the lab. And already in Singapore, it's been commercialized. Israel has been commercialized. And one of the gentlemen who has developed this in US, Dr. Umawaleti, we've had discussion. Actually, we had an event on this, and we also met Mrs. Menka Gandhi, because she's against cruelty to animals. But actually, you can grow meat without animal. The final product is same, but there's no animal involvement. And one of the questions that one asks is that, is it vegetarian or is it non-vegetarian? Answer is still not very clear. According to me, it's a vegetarian. 3D printing is another technology that is changing the world. This is the 3D printed house in Dubai that took one time, but actually now things are much faster. And I'm happy to tell you that I'm chairman of AICT committee to set up these digital fabrication facilities across the country through a scheme called Idea Lab. So 3D printing is also revolutionizing the classroom, not only engineering, but even things like biology, chemistry, architecture, archaeology, history. All of these are getting impacted by the 3D printing technology. And I'll request Rajiv Gandhi Council to actually take up this agenda and make sure that not only in the engineering institutes, but also across all the institutions, it should be possible to do this. The costs have come down. My university also has set up at a much lower cost and much less space. We can produce bones and cartilages actually using this. We can actually produce casts which are normally used, plaster of Paris. We can do 3D printing. It is very lightweight. It can be there. And not only that, if you see the right side, you can feed ultrasound to heal the bones much faster. Similarly, organs are likely to produce in this. This is a lot of work happening in this area using 3D printing technology directly into our brain. We don't have to go through the school system or teachers and other things. Similarly, body and brain are combining together. We're also looking at digital immortality happening. For example, I'm working on creating a digital avatar of Dr. Kalam and Dr. DYPIU, which is avatar C version, which will be your biological body may fail, but the digital system will continue to remain immortal forever. Another interesting thing that is happening according to NASA study, between the Mars and Jupiter, the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt has so much mineral wealth that if we divide among all the people on the earth, everyone will get $100 billion. $100 billion. Of course, when I give this talk, normally I ask that please don't ask me when it is coming in my bank account. This is only to estimate the amount of wealth. So there is a race of private entity going into space. And I had talked in Pune when we were releasing transport sector document, also we had done in Pune. I said that the two areas we are going to grow, one is deep sea and the other is far away from Earth, that is in deep space. These are going to be very, very important, the kind of wealth that is lying there, called Project Sunland, which right now we have $1 million fund event. I'm going to talk to the investor and tomorrow $1 million. It's the first time we're doing this, but there are billions of dollars being invested in the last few years on this, and we are seeing nuclear fusion coming close. Our project is named Project Sunland. We're trying to not only look at long-term energy solution, but also to produce neutron factories, which will produce medical isotope, process nuclear waste, and also do fissile fuel breeding by converting thorium into uranium. This also requires the change in education system. In my university, I've tried to make changes for this that are led to change country-wise. I will not go into details of these. And I think I'll stop by concluding that technology is happening at a faster rate than we expect. Technology foresight is very, very important than in the past, even companies, organizations, all of them require this. Invention and innovation backed by IPR protection is going to be critical for India to move at the knowledge-less society of the current century. Technology Vision 2035 can serve to set the direction to guide nation in meeting the aspirations of young mind. I would like to tell you that not only Hyperloop, for example, waterways came out of Technology Vision document, Train to Leh Tabang came out of that, Anemia Mukt Bharat came out of that, Nutrition India came out of this. So many of this that is happening in the country came out of this document. But we need to be prepared for major disruption in all aspects of life. It can be due to technology, but it can also happen due to natural reasons, for example, COVID, and that led to technological developments. Education system has to respond very quickly to the changes, and new education policy of government seems to step in the right direction. And I believe that role of private universities like mine and the investments are going to be very important in both research, education, and innovation. And as Dr. Mande mentioned that government of India set up many things did after independence, but today we start to see the role of private sector is going to be very, very important. So I'm going to stop at this point. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Professor Prabhat. It was kind of a walkthrough through a science fiction film that one gets to see, and we would surely, because you are just next door, if we can't travel in 25 minutes or 20 minutes from Mumbai to Pune, through Hyperloop, we would definitely would like to invite you at the commission when Dr. Kakotkar is here, about the thoughts that you expressed about the integration of future technologies in education in the universities. And
Thank you.
next time I travel from my South Bombay office to the suburb I travel, where it takes 2.5 hours, I would keep thinking about your Hyperloop. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.